In the parched center of Pine Hollow, Colorado, a town in which the mountains spoke in hushed tones, and the residents held on to their eccentricities like family heirlooms, a storm was building. It wasn't the sort to roll in with lightning, but one fed by bureaucracy and a goat by the name of Brutus on a Sunday morning. Brutus, unaccountably dressed in a miniature tactical vest, bit down on the briefcase of a lawyer by the name of Howard Finch. If that wasn't sufficient to get tongues a-flappin', a retired Marine Gus, with a waffle iron, brandishing it like a gavel, served Finch a restraining order. The townspeople stood by their porches snacking on popcorn as the Pine Hollow HOA's entourage, even a shiny black SUV, to back out of a driveway, now blockaded by an old antique tractor, a Winnebago, and a rusty Chevy with a live beehive buzzing in its trunk. 15 minutes ago, the HOA had descended upon Ellie Harper's deceased father's cabin, with stop-in-us letters and buffed smirks, thinking they could scare her off their land. They hadn't banked on the Harper family reunion derailing their scheme. Ellie was sanding a porch railing when she first heard the hum not from the bees, but from a spy drone hovering above her like a mechanical hawk, squinting into the sun. She saw its blinking camera smug as a tax collector. Actually, she growled, her sander still shaking the Pine Hollow HOA, or homeowners' oppressive coalition as neighbors mocked, had been stalking her cabin since her father died 5 years ago. They complained of infractions, shingle reflectivity, non-compliant foliage nonsense intended to make her leave. Ellie had their number. They sought her land for developers circling like vultures, the SUVs pulled up their HOA logos shining. Heading the charge was Vincent Caldwell, a fellow who combined the worst characteristics of a car salesman and dictator. His shoes didn't crunch on the gravel. "They glided, Miss Harper," he called, flipping open a leather folder with a flourish. "We're here to address violations requiring your immediate removal." Ellie crossed her arms. "You brought a convoy for that? What, you think I've got a catapult?" Vincent didn't blink. "You've ignored warnings, violated Code 14.7b, and resisted arbitration. You're evicted." Before Ellie could unleash a verbal lashing, engines rumbled down the hill. The Harpers were arriving. Ellie had forgotten, amidst the legal danger, that today was the Harper family cookout celebrating her father's birthday. No invitations necessary. Harpers had a way of appearing when trouble was brewing. Cousin Nate bellowed in his Dodge Ram held together with duct tape. Uncle Ray's mud-covered Jeep followed sporting antennas like a conspiracy theorist's fantasy aunt. Clara's van, taped with protest signs, led a procession of cars, including one looking half-hot rod, half-cattle hauler. Vincent scowled as the family poured out, tattooed, smiling, and constructed like human barbed wire. Teen cousin Milo rigged out a smoker grill while Nate distributed Ellie a mason jar of lemonade. "Didn't know the HOA was playing FBI today?" he joked. Clara waved a bowl, brought potato salad, and a lawyer. That lawyer was Cousin Lena in flip-flops and a Yale Law hoodie unwrapping Deled eggs. Passed the bar in 3 states. Ellie said she's feisty, like on cue Brutus. Paraded out. Eyed Finch and chewed his briefcase. Finch yelled. Brutus belched. Vincent clattered, snapped. "You can't bully us with animals." Ellie's smile was knife-sharp. "Vincent, this ain't no show. It's Sunday at the Harper place. You parked your circus in a war zone behind her." A grill flared, and blue grass blew from a truck filled with the smell of mesquite and defiance. Vincent's crew shifted. One board member tripped into a lawn chair and disappeared. "Leave," Ellie cautioned, "while your tire's still rolling." Vincent drew back his convoy, slinking out. Ellie recognized this was only the first shot. By Monday, the HOA filed suit against Brutus for property damage and assault in damages 200. Brutus, unfazed, had but the tire swing and chomped the judge's roses. Vincent's crew marched to the cabin with clipboards handing out infractions for porch excess flare and garden gnome abuse. Ellie took the papers with the serenity of a person skinning roadkill. The citations were ridiculous. One blamed her grass for being too colorful. She could have smiled if she hadn't known the payoff. Paper-built leverage invited attorneys. But Ellie had Clara, who made diplomatic brownies that filled the air with chemical aromas. They brought them to an HOA mixer, a tiled hall of flickering lights and coaster mandates. Vincent boarded-eyed the brownies tiredly, but manners prevailed. They dined shortly afterwards. A board member suggested converting the HOA to a pottery guild. Another cried about her ruined dream of becoming a stunt driver. Vincent's attorney ranted on behalf of sidewalks as tyranny. Before disappearing to the bathroom, Ellie and Clara slipped away as the meeting broke up in interpretive dance. The following day, a 14-foot fence went up around Ellie's street illegal, but allowed under Vincent's infrastructure optimization. That evening, the Harpers schemed by a fire pit. Uncle Ray proposed jamming the HOA's drones. Lena spent hours poring through books of law. She discovered a town bylaw buildings more than 75 years old with historic use were exempt. Clara remembered stories of Ellie's grandfather stashing moonshine under the cabin during Prohibition. By morning, they discovered a trap door in the barn with empty bottles, a copper still, and a sign. Harper Spirits Est 1924. Ellie petitioned historic status, freezing Vincent's plans. When he received the notice, he reportedly threw a stapler at a plant. Vincent doubled down, blanketing the town in leaflets regarding anarchist threats. Ellie read one at dinner. Catching laughter so intense, Ray snorted. Stu, the HOA contracted Guardian Horizon, a pseudo-SWAT unit in tactical vests patrolling like they were waiting for a coup. On Friday, they erected a propaganda tent near Ellie's cabin, dispensing cookies and lies regarding goat aggression. Clara and Milo responded with a petting zoo, featuring Brutus in a bow tie, attracting crowds and trending hashtags. Tensions simmered. Ellie's sleep became troubled. The family argued. Nate insisted on a moat. Clara proposed crowdfunding. Grandma Faye almost brained a mailman for mistaking him as a spy. Then Milo, the teenage tech whiz, demonstrated drone video of Vincent's guard stuffing boxes into a storage unit. Lena gasped. That's financial data. Ellie's eyes narrowed. He's covering something under cover of a cornhole tourney. Ellie, Milo, and Nate sneaked out of the facility. Milo broke the keypad. Ellie diverted the guard's attention with a phony sob tale of an escape room lost within. They discovered evidence Vincent was siphoning HOA money into a shell company linked to a luxury resort proposal that would elevate Ellie's cabin for a golf course. They documented it all and leaked it to the Pine Hollow Gazette headlines. Yelled scandal news crews descended on the town. Vincent's press conference collapsed under glitter-ruined hair gel and Brutus chewing his slacks. He trended for all the wrong reasons. The courthouse, a plain box by the diner, was stuffed for trial. Reporters shoved locals out of the way carrying thermoses. Ellie sat beside Lena and Nate across from Vincent, who appeared like a man placing a bet on a fixed game. His attorney flashed charts and a model town with a miniature Brutus. Lena retorted with the storage unit proof cutting through Vincent's deception, the bombshell being Vincent's ex-wife Tara, who strode in lipstick chic and revealed his fraud past, including a Nevada ban from fiduciary roles. The courtroom roared. Vincent's lawyer floundered. Ellie took the stand, voice steady, reading her father's letter. This land was carved from stone and sweat before their bylaws existed. She spoke of community, not control. When people like Vincent win, we forget what it means to belong. The silence was heavy. Reverend Judge Amos ruled for Ellie. The cabin was a historical site. Vincent was fined, removed, and probed for fraud. The HOA confronted review. The town exploded with celebration. Faye performed the electric slide in the parking lot. Vincent walked out, hissed, "You've won." Ellie said, "I kept what's mine." Brutus nipped his briefcase for extra measure. Pine Hollow commemorated with grills and cider. Ellie Leiter now knew she'd kept her father's gritty, generous spirit, a reporter. Liam pitched a book about the saga they spoke under stars. His hand on her shoulder. A quiet question, a letter late from her father, came asking her to guard the land's memories. Roots don't go anywhere. They grow deeper. Ellie sat on the porch swing, Brutus at her knee in preparation for tomorrow, whatever it might bring.